Hi, welcome back to my channel. This is Psychic Medium Raymond Guzman, and today I'm going to be doing a podcast on connecting to your spirit guides. This has to be one of the biggest questions that I get asked all the time, and it's about how to connect to your spirit guides. The first thing that I want to cover in this podcast today is who are your spirit guides? What is a spirit guide? There's a lot of confusion. People tend to confuse spirit guides for angels. But there is a distinct characteristic, and that is that angels have acclimated to it. They're from a different hierarchy, and their service is more, their mission is to serve more as protection and guardian, guard, different areas of the world, different people and places. They are at a higher hierarchy, and spirit guides are actually people who used to live here in the physical world and have now reincarnated back into spirit form, into the spirit realm, and they have been here many times. They're usually older souls, and they have gone through many life lessons and have worked through a lot of their karmic baggage, and so they are almost like teachers in a sense. Basically, their name says it all. They're guides, and they provide guidance here in the physical world for us. And we are assigned spirit guides prior to being born into Earth, and it's part of our soul contract. And they actually help us with our soul contract as well, and help us navigate through our time here in the physical world on Earth. But a lot of people think that we are only given a certain amount of spirit guides, and that's a huge misconception as well. You can have one guide, two guides, you can have several guides, and you can also have those guides that you were, before you were born here on Earth, that have accompanied your soul here down to Earth. You can have those guides, and at any time, there's different guides for different reasons that come into our life. So the guides that you had maybe when you were in your teens or your 20s could actually be replaced with different guides. So they're always evolving, and there's always a different guide for different eras of our life, or different periods and chapters in our life. So these are your spirit guides, and they're always around us. Now, the question here that a lot of people get is that they cannot connect to their spirit guides, or they don't necessarily believe in spirit guides because they haven't seen them. And the answer to that is that you're not going to always see your spirit guides. Not everyone sees your spirit guides, but you may feel a presence of your spirit guides around you. And sometimes you may actually hear them communicate with you through your mind, utilizing your voice, since they are vibrating at your same level. Or you could hear actual voices, and some of them, they may manifest themselves as just a light, a bright light, like a golden or white light, a bright blue light. And you may actually just also see them in, almost like in a transparent, like from the torso up. There's different ways that they can appear to you. I know for myself personally, I met my guides when I was around 31 years old, and after I had my near-death experience. I was sitting here on the couch, and I was busy writing something, looking down, and in the split second I looked up, I felt this, this something that was just nudging me to look up, and I looked up directly against the wall where I had a calendar hanging. And as I looked there, I saw two heads floating towards me, and I heard their voice. It was the lady. I have two guides. One is a female. She's much older, and she had her hair pinned up. She's from the Victorian era, so I want to say she's almost like from the 1800s. Late 1700s to 1800s, but she's in that time period, and she was dressed very much, what I could see was from the torso up, like from the chest up. So I saw her, her outfit was very regal but Victorian type, with the ruffles and kind of the neck going all the way, the collar going up to the neck. So I saw her, and I remember hearing her say, we are your spirit guides. And there was another gentleman which was much younger, and he was very pale. He had dark brown hair, very straight, a little bit up to like his neckline, so it was kind of long. But I remember seeing these two guides and feeling this warmth feeling inside of me, a very, weird sensation that, you normally don't typically feel. It's like a warmness from the inside out. Um, and I remember them just dissolving. They came up a few inches up to my face, floating towards me, and they just vanished. And I never saw them again since then, but I always have heard them and feel the connection when I'm doing readings or when I'm doing, or I need guidance in some kind of area. So your spirit guides are always there. You may not always be able to connect with them. You may not be able to, really listen, or you may not always feel them around, but they are there in the background and they are guiding you. But most of the time, we are not listening to our own spirit guides when they are trying to give us some kind of sign, or they're trying to actually communicate with us through using other people, other ways. So the next thing I want to cover that is often asked is, how do you connect to your spirit guides? Or rather, before I get to that, what is blocking you from connecting to your spirit guides? There's a lot of things that block us. The first thing is social conditioning and fear-based thinking. So in order to connect to your spirit guides, you need to eliminate all fear-based thinking and social conditioning. Social conditioning is basically anything that you were taught, or during your upbringing with your family, religion, anything that was instilled upon you that was a set guide of principles or beliefs. You have to kind of throw those to the wayside and kind of come in more with an open mind and an unconditional love in your heart in order to connect to your spirit guides. Once you're able to, push away the fear thinking, because a lot of people, in religion, they seem to think, that certain spirits are bad, and that, you don't know exactly who you're connecting with. You could be connecting with a demon, and that creates fear. That's fear-based thinking. So you just have to eliminate that and trust that it is your spirit guide. If you are vibrating and you do say a prayer, and I'll get into ways to connect to your spirit guides, but as long as you're vibrating at a higher level, you are going to be connecting with your spirit guide. Other things that would be blocking you from, your spirit guides are addictions. This could be dependencies, alcohol, drugs, things that are unhealthy for your body and for your soul. These things can block you from connecting to your spirit guides. Also, holding on to negative vibrations or low vibrations, such as anger, hatred, resentment, greed. A lot of these things are lower vibrations. They're negative, and spirit guides come from a place of love and compassion. And so it's like, if we're vibrating at that level, at a very low level, and they're vibrating at a very high level, we're not compatible, and they're not going to partake in any kind of person or people who are vibrating at a very negative level. So they kind of tend to stay in the back, and they do, get frustrated many times with us because we don't listen, or we can't get out of our own cycles that we are stuck in, even though they may be, giving us all these kind of signs, symbols, nudges, and guidance, and we just can't hear it because we're so caught up being negative. Another thing that would block you is not, coming from a place of gratitude, always complaining about every single thing. Nothing is right. Your food is too bland. The cashier was too slow. Your coworker annoys you because they chew gum. If we would just stop and record ourselves for one whole day and listen to ourselves, at the end of the day, the majority of us complain about something in some kind of way, whether it's verbally communicated, mentally thought, or it's something that you just, you are chatting with someone, texting someone, and you communicate it in that kind of form. We have to change the way that we see things and try to eliminate a lot of that negativity or complaining. When you're not in a state of being grateful, that also can contribute to you not having that connection or that link to your spirit guides. So that's very important, to kind of get yourself into a way, in a place where you are sound of mind, body, and soul, and feeling good. Health. If you're not feeling well, you're sick, with an illness, or you have a disease, or you're going through some treatment, whether it's a cancer treatment, chemo, a lot of these things take a toll on the body. And so we are not in a good place to connect to our spirit guides when we're in that kind of state of mind. It makes it a lot more difficult for you to connect, because you need to take care of your body. Your body is not operating at its highest capability. And so a lot of people will notice that when they're sick, your spirit guides are there and they're helping you, but you may not be able to feel them or connect to them. In some cases, I will say this, in some cases it is stronger, the connection, when you are, in like people that are terminally ill, or they are going through cancer or some kind of illness. It tends to create a higher connection, a stronger connection with the other side, and you're more open to it. So I will, say that. But in some cases, it just depends on the person. And if you are sick and you're open to the other side, but yet you're negative, about it, then it's not going to be a good connection there. The way I like to describe this is that when I say connection between us and our spirit guides, think of yourself as a radio. And we are, there's an AM, and an FM frequency, and we can turn that dial and tune into different stations or different channels, right? To get different, programs on the radio, or different radio stations. Well, that's the same way that we are operating. We have, we're like a radio, and there's different channels that exist. And, those radio waves, think of them as spirit guides, and they're coming in, trying to connect with you. But it just depends if you're connecting on the right channel. So now I'm going to go ahead and cover how you can connect easier to your spirit guides. So there's a lot of things that you can do. The first thing, like I said, was eliminating fear. You have to eliminate fear completely. Fear-based thinking will shut it down. The next thing that you can do is connect with your inner child. A lot of us are, like I said, we're adults now that would be listening to this podcast, and many of us have, lost that sense of childlike nature, that innocence that we carried, that unrestrained type of, tenacity, just to go forth and just do anything, not hold back, whether it's, going and playing outside with the mud, or, getting some Crayolas and just drawing, or picking up a pencil and sketching and doodling. So many of us, we get so bogged down with our work, like I've said in different, videos and podcasts, and we've lost our inner child. Music that we used to listen to when we were younger, we don't listen to it anymore. We think, we start putting ourselves into a box and thinking we're too old to do that anymore, or we're too old to do this or that, or, it's just, we're not, hip anymore. And we want to, we were so focused on, just living and existing here on earth, that we have, shut down our innocence within our soul. And everybody has some innocence within their soul, and that childlike nature. All of us are, I consider myself like a big child still. Things that you can do, is to watch cartoons. I mean, you're never too, anyone that would be listening to this, would say, well, Raymond, that's kind of silly. I'm an old adult. I'm in my 50s or my 40s, and I don't have time to be looking at cartoons. But it's the simple things that a child would do, that would bring you stronger to connecting to your spirit guides. I know that you may not believe in it, or it may be a little difficult listening to this and thinking, that is something that you could do or picture yourself doing, but just do it. Turn on the Cartoon Network, or, one of the cartoon channels on your television handset, or go on YouTube and look at some cartoons there, or Amazon Prime, whatever, and just look at it. It's going to, evoke something inside of your soul, and it's going to connect you to memories of your past, of when you were a child and when you used to watch cartoons, if you did watch them. A lot of people, they just need that trigger, they need that instant connection that can associate them to their innocence or their childlike self. And when they connect and activate that memory, it sparks a stronger connection with your guides, because now you're uninhibited. You're not so much stressed out, or you're not so much thinking of in the mindset of being an adult, but rather just being yourself and connecting to your true self and your true essence. connecting to your inner child like self, it's something that's beautiful. And I think that's why a lot of people can't relate, or they can't connect to their guides, because their guides, our guides are funny. They have a sense of humor, and they really are trying to get the messages across to you. But we can't listen because we can't relate. This is one way to relate. The other thing that you can do is meditate. This is a big one, meditation. Set some time aside. I'll tell you how I do my meditation. How I do my meditation is basically I will sit or lay in bed, or I like to really sit up on a sofa or a couch or a chair. And what I'll do is I'll sit there and I'll turn off all music, all kind of background noise, and basically I will just close my eyes and I will picture myself almost like um, coming out of my body, my soul coming out of my body, but it's still there. But I'm just picturing and visualizing myself sitting out in an open field of flowers, and there's nothing but beautiful bouquets of different flowers. And I'm picturing myself in my face, sitting there in a chair, and basically my feet are barefoot and are on the ground. Then what I do is I visualize that the sky is really blue, and I see this white light that's very bright radiating down from the top of the sky, and I picture that hitting the top center forehead of my crown area of my head, the very top center of the head, and going in my body and filling me up with that white, beautiful light. And I pictured going through all of my torso, my arms, my legs, my feet, my stomach, all the way down, radiating out to the soles of my feet. At the same time, I'm picturing the soles of my feet as roots, like a tree, and they're burrowing deep into the ground. Then I picture from my spine, as I'm sitting down still on the chair, another root coming out from my spine, the base of my spine, and going into the earth. And I picture that white light going all the way back up my body, all the way back up to the sky. And I keep doing this like maybe for 3 to 5 minutes, visualizing. And after that, I slowly just stop visualizing and just sit there with my eyes closed. Now, many times I've seen a lot of geometric shapes and colors and symbols that I don't recognize. And guess what? A lot of people are trying to interpret that and trying to understand what is that completely. What is that, those signs and symbols that you're seeing. Those are your spirit guides. Believe it or not, those are your spirit guides. They're using, they don't have to appear, like I said, in any kind of shape or form of a person. They can appear in any kind of shape, even as an animal, something that is familiar with you, a geometric form, as long as you see it, or a light, and you see all these different color. I've seen geometric symbols before, but all kinds of colors. It looks like a Christmas lights going off, and different shapes. These are your spirit guides that are there, and in some way you've established a connection, but you just didn't understand that those were your spirit guides. So that's the first step to understanding and connecting with them through meditation. Having an open conversation, whether this is in your mind or out loud, talk to your guides. Let them know, hey, give me a sign. Show me that you're here. I'm patient, but just give me a sign so that I can figure it out. And then you need to pay attention once you ask for those signs. Keep a journal of things that that stand out of the ordinary. They can utilize other people to send you messages across. This could be a complete stranger. This could be feathers that are being left, and you think they're coming from your angels, but it actually would be your guides. There's different ways, that they can push you and nudge you to use your sight to see things that they want you to see, and get you, this could be again where you see the synchronicities and the angel numbers that are being shown to you. These are them, trying to nudge you and push you in the right direction. Now, they can't intervene with our spirit guides cannot intervene with our our fate or destiny, but they can help nudge us and guide us in certain situations, because they know a certain outcome of that, and they're just trying to help you. So pay attention to what is, being given. Another way that you can connect with your guides is the utilization of crystals. Crystals can amplify existing frequencies and grids around us that are all energy. And so if you have a crystal or you wear jewelry that has crystals on them, basically that can help you with a stronger connection to your guides as well. The guides, our spirit guides are so great and they're so patient with us. And like I said, they're always going to be there for you. And these are just some of the ways, there's a lot of different techniques. I'm sure a lot of you out there, know of different ways that work for you or different techniques. But your spirit guides are always there and they're always willing to connect. Like I said, you may feel a presence around you and you may be confusing that for, a ghost or a past loved one, but that could actually be your spirit guides. And also pay attention to photographs. When you are taking a lot of photos out there, a lot of your spirit guides can appear in photos as like a cloud or a mist at sometimes. You may notice that, or even a bright light. Pay attention if you see out of the corner of your eye and you're awake, and it's during the daytime and you see like a bright golden light, or you feel like there is you see it just an instant flash of it. Those are your spirit guides as well. So they're always around us and they're always guiding us to navigate through this world. So I hope you enjoyed this podcast. If you have any suggestions of any other type of podcast videos that I should do here on YouTube that are based on spiritual topics, please comment in the comment section below. If you did like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also be sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you would like to set up a private reading with me, you can go to my website. That's www.raymondguzman.net/shop. Blessings and love and light. Have an amazing day.